Hi, I'm Megan St. Germain, and I am an elementary education major at Flagler College.
And I'm Letitia Spakes, and I'm also an elementary education major at Flagler College.
And we're going to be talking about the FEAPs today, aka the Florida Educator Accomplished Practices. Florida Educator Accomplished Practices are Florida's core standards for effective educators and provide valuable guidance to Florida's public school educators and educator preparation programs throughout the state on what educators are expected to know and be able to do. The Educator Accomplished Practices are based upon 3 foundational principles. Those principles focus on high expectations, knowledge of subject matter, and the standards of the profession. Each effective educator applies the foundational principles through 6 Educator Accomplished Practices. Each of the practices is clearly defined to promote a common language and statewide understanding of the expectations for the quality of instruction and professional responsibility.
The FEAP in particular that we will be talking about is A3, which is Instructional Delivery and Facilitation, which states that the effective educator consistently utilizes a deep and comprehensive knowledge of the subject in order to enhance learning and engage students in learning. Childhood is filled with natural wonder and curiosity. The learning environment must reflect a classroom and outdoor space that inspires a sense of wanting to investigate, to find out, and to explore. Kathy Walker.
If children feel safe, they can take risks, ask questions, make mistakes, learn to trust, share their feelings, and grow. Alfie Cohn.
One subpart of this FEAP involves delivering engaging and challenging lessons, which I was able to complete in my Methods of Science course. I worked with a young girl named Ella, and she learned about Archimedes' principle and why objects either sank or floated. In addition, she created her own boats and filled them with small cubes in a small tub of water in order to test out how much each boat could hold before the boat sank to the bottom. By doing this lesson, Ella was able to learn that if the weight of the water that is displaced is less than the weight of the object, in this case the boat would sink. If not, the object would float because the weight of the water displaced would be equal to the weight of the boat. Employ higher order questioning techniques.
Deepen and enrich students' understanding through content area literacy strategies, verbalization of thought, and application of the subject matter. Differentiate instruction based on an assessment of student learning needs and recognition of individual differences in students. While taking diagnostic reading, I was paired with a student that I worked with for the entire semester on remediating the student's writing and reading and trying to figure out the best method of instruction to improve on the student's skills. Through tests such as the IRI, which stands for the Informal Reading Inventory, I was able to conclude that the student was having difficulty specifically with reading comprehension and being able to understand what she was reading, as well as having difficulty with word recognition. This then allowed me to differentiate my instruction with her and create a lesson plan that catered to her learning needs.
Identify gaps in student subject matter knowledge. Relate and integrate the subject matter with other disciplines and life experiences. While I was in my Methods of Arts course, I was able to incorporate this particular feat because I combined a music standard with a social studies standard in order to demonstrate how learning different styles of music could relate to the different countries that you also learn about while in social studies. Modify instruction to respond to preconceptions and misconceptions.
Apply varied instructional strategies and resources, including appropriate technology, to provide comprehensive instruction and to teach for student understanding. In my elementary methods of science class, we worked with students from Murray Middle School on teaching genetics, which included topics such as recessive and dominant genes. While teaching the lesson, we had the students create a human Punnett square outside, applying what they had learned about what dominant and recessive genes look like in a Punnett square. This made instruction comprehensible for the students as they were able to physically be a dominant and recessive gene. This allowed the student to use a more hands-on approach when creating their pumpkins in the second part of our lesson. The student and I worked together to create a pumpkin cookie that inherited both dominant and recessive genes. While the student and I worked together to create the pumpkin, I was able to assess her understanding of the subject matter by which genes she displayed on the pumpkin. Support, encourage, and provide immediate and specific feedback to students to promote student achievement. Utilize student feedback to monitor instructional needs and to adjust instruction.